This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. And again today, a wonderful way to start my Monday, talking to creators of music. And after the past year, feeling somewhat isolated, even though I was doing these Zoom interviews, there were a lot of individuals like Andrew Van Nostrand who you were just too busy creating to talk to any of us.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in some ways it was a really busy season. Certainly not with touring, but in other ways we were quite busy.
Absolutely. And I understand that you and your band have something brand new that is going to be out there for all of us to hear soon.
Yeah. So my band is the Faux Paws. It's myself, my brother Noah, and our good friend Chris Miller. And we recorded our first record. We've been playing together for a long time. We've been friends for a long time, been playing together for almost 10 years. But we recorded our first album February of 2020. And the recording session went really well. Everything was going smooth. We were excited about it. And then, a couple weeks after we finished tracking, everyone's priorities had to get rearranged and time frames get changed. So now, August 27th, that's later this week on Friday, we're finally releasing our record, and we're really excited about it.
So I'm interested in the name of the band. How did we come up with Faux Paws? And I want everybody to understand it's Paws, Paws.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, band names are it's one of the trickier parts of the business. This one kind of evolved out of for many years, Noah and Chris and I played in a larger dance band called Great Bear that had some other folks in it, and that band was really fun, but it was a big band and kind of exclusively a dance band. And so when we started focusing on our trio and we were kicking around possibilities, it's like, well, we're not Great Bear, we're the Faux Paws. We're not the real Paws, we're the Faux Paws. And then the play on doing something a little improper seemed to fit our brand. And we also didn't think about it too hard. It was just like, let's just run with it.
So your style is typically folk music, am I correct?
Yeah, you could say folk roots. Certainly has a lot of dance, like dance music elements to it. We've been endorsing the term groove grass when we need something to hashtag.
Well, it's funny because people want to tag music being in these little boxes. And one of the things that I've noticed recently, probably more than recently, is that something can start out sounding like folk, and then somewhere in the middle, it's like, that's not folk. What is that? Is that rock? Is that classic? And you have somebody that's looking at you.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. These conversations should be natural. So when did this all come about? Maybe you might know, when groups decided, you know what, we are folk, but hey, this part of the song should sound more like classical or something else.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know when. I think that's probably been happening. As long as there have been genres, there have been people outside of them, Basically, like, I'm not against using genres or terminology or boxes or categories. I think that's okay. I think, like, at least for myself, like, I like to organize my life in a way where I can tell what something is or what something isn't. But I guess what I always fall back on is that like whenever you're using labels or genres or categories, and this is like even beyond music, like whenever you're doing that, you have to make sure that the terms are working for you and you're not feeling boxed in by the terms. So like we use these things to help us understand what we're doing, what we want to show to the world, what how to like guide guide your artistic decisions a little bit. But hopefully those are we're making the words, the categories, the genres, we're making them work for us, not feeling like, oh, we're a folk band so we can't use electric guitar, or we're a bluegrass band so we can't have drums. Like I'm not against using terms, I just think they should work for us.
Sounds great. So you said that in this group, this trio, there's your brother and a friend. So what's it like working with your brother? I mean, a lot of siblings don't like to work together.
Well, Noah and I have been playing music together, since we were very little. I started playing fiddle when I was 8 years old, and Noah started. He's a little bit younger than me, and he started shortly after. We've played music together the entire time. So it's almost, in some ways, it's almost like we're both a little out of our comfort zone when we're playing music not together. At this point, it's pretty cool because like we really know what to expect from each other, and we really know how to read each other. We can. It's just like there's a level of trust and understanding that's really pretty deep between Noah and I musically. And we have our disagreements or our friction, but we're really remarkably compatible on the road, and it's pretty smooth. What Chris does is really awesome in this trio, because Chris will do like kind of he'll do like two separate things. Sometimes he will like get right in there with us on the like smooth sailing, everyone's on the same page, we know what to expect from each other, and this is just like an easy thing to just like make music together. But then other times, like I mean, Noah and I can get a little bored because we've heard everything that each other are ever going to play. Like we just know what's coming. And Chris will get in there and like interrupt the cycle a little bit. He'll be like, yeah, I've heard you play that before. How about you play something different this time, And he'll like get in between there, and it can be really exciting and, sort of lead to a lot more creativity than I think. It's just so easy for Noah and I to fall back on thousands of stage hours playing together. And so, yeah, it's the dynamics are pretty neat that way.
Well, and I'm glad you expressed it that way. Yesterday, I recorded one of our regular shows. It's called The Intentionality Gurus, and it's based on coaching, personal coaching. And one of the things that most of us tend not to do is see and hear what's all around us. We keep doing things the same way. And, somebody will come along and say, Andrew, that's really great. But yeah, I heard it last time you were on stage, or I heard it in the last two things you wrote. And sometimes we get our back up because it's like, well, whoa, that was good. And, I liked what I did. But when we allow ourselves to have others around us see us, view us, and, challenge us.
Exactly.
That makes for a phenomenal group, but it makes for phenomenal output of art.
Yeah, exactly. And there's an immense amount. It's a very special situation to know, between Noah and I, where we know each other so well for so long and have so much shared repertoire, shared understanding. So I don't take that for granted. That's a very special situation.
Oh, absolutely.
But the way Chris both blends in with it and provides contrast and inspiration by like being outside of it, There's a lot of really fun dynamics to play with.
So you told me that you're living in Vermont.
Mhm.
So is there one particular area where you play the most, or are you going to go back to traveling across the United States or worldwide?
Oh, it's a fascinating question. I mean, in the before times, we certainly traveled in the United States. We traveled pretty extensively, toured a fair bit. I hope we get a chance to tour more, in the future. We are really excited about this record, really excited to share it with people. And we all toured internationally as well. I toured in Europe a fair bit. I guess not as this configuration, but all three of us separately have spent a lot of time on the road. Of course, Noah lives in North Carolina, and Chris lives in Washington State. So basically, any time we play anywhere, two of us are on tour.
Right. I
At
get
least
that.
two of us are on tour. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We have this short run of shows in the Northeast coming up later this week, and we're very excited about those. But then there might be a couple isolated things, but we're mostly planning 2022 for like really hitting the road, and hopefully if there will be some better understanding and some new norms by then that'll make planning tours a little more easy.
Well, and I think that's best for you as a group and for us as your audience, because depending who the group is and where they're playing, the the restrictions change.
Yeah.
If you're outdoor, okay, you're fine. Although we don't know if we are. And if
Yeah.
you're indoor, you're not fine. And I was talking to another group last week. They weren't cutting their tours, but their audience was going to be cut by 75%.
Yeah.
And you
You just really have to rethink the mechanics of
exactly
how you do it.
So during COVID, when you guys were basically in lockdown, and with Chris in state of Washington, they really were hit real hard.
Sure.
Were you able to do any online performances?
Yeah, we did. So I think, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 times, but we would basically, like, instead of spreading out all of our shows and our traveling, and covering like a lot of area in like sort of a spread out fashion, we like really focused in. So we'd go like, okay, we are going to get together, and we are going to limit our risks and limit our exposure, and we are going to make our plans to get together for this block of time, right? And there were risks for sure,
Right.
But like we tried to just like keep them really contained, and we would get together and we would get tested if when that was possible. We would get tested, and we would all stay in one house together, and then we would just do like a bunch of online shows for different organizations, different events. We'd put some on ourselves. Some of them were for like some of them were music for like the dance community. Some of them were concerts. Like a couple times we even played for like a workout session. Like
It's interesting.
But we would like, it was funny. It was like going on tour in a lot of ways. It was like, okay, we've got like a couple anchor gigs, and then we would just fill in between them with whatever we could figure out.
Right.
But we just didn't leave the house doing it. And then we'd have to go our separate ways. And certainly anytime we got together took a lot of planning, a lot of precautions. So it was complicated, but it also sort of kept the band like we kept us engaged. It kept us working on new material and moving forward.
Well, I'm glad you explained it that way, because one of the things that I bring up in every podcast that I do with musicians is we want everybody to hear your music. but we want people to pay for it. So if your favorite place to get your music is Apple, pay for the subscription, everybody.
Mm,
If it's Spotify, the same thing.
sure.
Because just hearing what you went through this past year, um, the travel was probably out of your pockets. Um, Obviously, the risk was on the three of you, and yet you were doing that to keep your music alive and for us to hear it. And so, you know, I go back to when my brother, who's a producer, one day said to me, "Where did you get that music from?" And I said, "I bought it." And he said, "You must buy all your music." He said, "I may only get, you know, 1/millionth of a penny from it." He said, "But if you don't pay for it, I won't even get that." And
Well, it's a complicated it's a complicated time for making music as a product, because we it feels to me anyway like we are very much between mediums. We're feeling our way, like people still love music, and we've been blown away by by support from our fans this past year. It's really been wild. We had an incredibly successful GoFundMe to help finish the record, and like it's not like people don't appreciate music, and that's so important.
right,
But the mechanics of it are pretty weird. Like it is hard to know what to invest in, and it's hard to I look at my own habits as a music consumer and go like, man, this is a tricky equation. I will say Bandcamp has been fantastic, and has really sort of been a great way for people, go ahead, listen to our record as much as you want on Spotify, but we will see more of that through Bandcamp than
right.
anything else we've found at this point.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you spelled that out for our listeners, because that is really, really helpful. Um, we're living in strange times, and
No doubt.
you've implied that as well. I've heard people say, I would love my musicians to be doing Zoom concerts for the rest of my life. I don't have to leave my living room. And that's nice. But you know what? I certainly like going to the club. I certainly like going out and mingling with other people, and watching their reactions.
But you know what else was cool? Like once we kind of got the hang of playing online shows, they're not the same. They aren't meant, and they're not meant to be the same, I guess is what I'm saying. Like they don't have to be the same to still be cool. And there was also something nice about being able to reach people without the overhead and without the stress and without the complications of traveling. And like, I wouldn't replace one with the other, but it does make me think that, like, I wonder if this could be a way to fill in those, like, Tuesday and Wednesday nights on tour when you're basically like, breaking even if you're lucky, and being able to reach people who can't come out to show, especially like if this is the sort of the new reality where, like, at least immunocompromised people have to think very carefully about their exposure. This might be
Absolutely.
a way to have more music in the world. So
Well,
I'm not hating on it. It's just a it's a different thing.
well, I think a combination would work for most of us, because
Exactly.
watching you online, and then if I know that you're in the area, it's like, I already know this. Okay. I,
Right.
I now need to go out. Uh, so out of all the places you've played,
Mhm.
whether in the trio or a band before, is there one location that really stands out amongst?
A single location, I don't know, but I will say that has been an amazing part about being a full-time musician, is just the places that you see, the things that you see, the places you get to go, that like either like obvious stuff like oh, it was really neat seeing the Grand Canyon or something like that, right? But like the things that you get to do and see that you never would have like imagined. And so like not a single one, but like that as a lifestyle is pretty wild. Like to just show up places that you've never been, or show up places that you feel like you have homes away from homes, you know, like you have like these little pockets of people and places that you know well, scattered sort of all over the country, and like you know, be able to like touch base with those people or those places and like feel like they have a little space in your heart or in your life. That's really very cool. You know, we all travel a bunch. My brother Noah might have us all beat at this point. I think, you know, our band had maybe 6 or 7 gigs this year, and I think he's gonna drive to all 48, all of the lower 48 to get to them in one calendar year. And that, and they just like the ability to like be out in the world and seeing places, seeing the out of the way places that not everyone gets to see. That's pretty special. I dig that.
You know, it's interesting because August of 2019, my brother was turning 77, and he lives on the West Coast. And he got in his car and he took what he called 77 sunset trip. And he went from California to the East Coast and back. Didn't get all 48 states, but he is a Scrabble guru. So he stopped in cities and he introduced Scrabble to people who maybe never played it. He went to Scrabble clubs. So I can understand your brother.
You know, there's just like there's no end to the, like, there's no end to the niche. You know, like there's always something that someone's into that you've never considered that people could be into that. And I love that, you know, like you just keep going and going. And if you're looking for it, you find like, I've never considered that someone would be into that.
Absolutely.
And that's an amazing thing.
And luckily he did it when he did, because 3 months later, you know, and so we've been teasing him now that things are getting better. Are you going to do another road trip? And his comment is, I'm too old for it. And it's like, no, you're never too old for it. But
yeah, but also it's great to grab the opportunities when they come.
Absolutely. So tell us again about your new release, so everybody is waiting for it.
Yeah, sure thing. So the band is called the Faux Paws, and our new record is self-titled, and it comes out August 27th on all of the places that you would expect music to come out on. We have a few shows in the Northeast and a few music videos getting released pretty soon. So definitely check out our website, check us out on Bandcamp, and yeah, we're really excited to share the record with the world.
Wonderful. And come to Cleveland and let's get you to play at the Rock Hall.
Let's do that.
That'd be one big thing.
Let's do that.
All right. You take care. Say hi to your brother Noah and your teammate Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Karen, thank you so much for this conversation. It's great talking to you.
Bye-bye now.